Herman P Street family, as you can see, it's not just me. We got four of us here this evening on this New Year's Eve afternoon. Of course, I'm Jacob Evans, the preaching minister here at Pulaski Street. For those who don't know, and then we've got Shane Hughes right here next to me, one of our elders, one of our shepherds here at Pulaski Street. The next to him is Tim Hammond, also one of our elders or shepherds, and then over on the far end, opposite of me, is Jeremy Gargis, our youth, family, and song leader extraordinary. All of us here together to spend a little time with you, and we've got some things we want to think about reflecting on the past and looking toward the new year, as a matter of fact. But before we do that, we do, as we like to on Wednesday nights, we like to keep the church family informed of various things. So we got a few announcements, followed by some prayer requests, and then Jeremy may have one or two things he wants to reflect on relative to the youth. So, with that in mind, on some of our announcements right now, here's what you need to know. The church office is closed until Monday. So if you've been coming by or calling, you're like, nobody's there, nobody's answering, what's the deal? We don't have Melanie or Cindy in there. Sandy's come a little bit, but if our secretaries aren't there, it's hard for that phone to get answered. But everybody will be back Monday, January 5th. Also, there are, in fact, a couple of New Year's Eve parties this evening. One's going to start at 4 o'clock, probably not much further on the other end of this time together here online. But about 4 o'clock, there's going to be a seniors New Year's Eve ministry, party, complete with finger foods and games. It's going to go from about 4 o'clock to as long as they can stand it. About 7 o'clock, we're going to be heading over to the Donnellys. Several folks do this every year. And from 7 to like midnight, we spend some time playing games, eating more food than we should. And then around 11:30, Jeremy leads us in some singing to kind of bring us into the new year. It's kind of become a bit of a tradition, but everyone is in fact invited to that. On Sunday, this Sunday, we got a new quarter of classes starting, and that's especially true in a significant way for our adult Bible classes. And then here a little later in our time together, we'll get some information on that from Tim, and we'll be able to chime in on that also. You also need to know that this Sunday there's going to be a Lads to Leaders speech and song practice at 4 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. So if you're doing songs or speech, you're going to want to be here for that. And then we will have our first feast of 2026. It will be in the fellowship building. So we will not be using the new building just yet, but we hope maybe by the third feast of this month, we might be able to get in there and use it then. Just a few things that got to be wrapped up over there before we can start using it as we want to. So at least the next couple of feasts we're probably going to have in the fellowship building, and then we'll start transitioning over there. Now, prayer requests. We've got a lot of stuff that's come through, and I know some of these are concerns of yours. I'll just go down the line here. Ruby Bass is at home and has been battling pneumonia, but she is doing okay, all things considered, but still recovering. Danny Cockrell had surgery on one of his big toes yesterday. They did not have to take the whole big toe, but they did take, I think, the top quarter of it, and he seems to be doing okay, all things considered. Polly Gray, as we mentioned recently, is continuing to cope with low platelets, and she would appreciate our prayers, but please no calls or visitors. Natalie Hayslip was diagnosed with colon cancer and is at this point waiting to get into surgery as soon as possible. Sherman Harris is still at NHC Scott, but they were meeting today to see about when he might be able to go home. So he might be out of there sooner than later. Dean Hughes is, which will be Shane's mom, is undergoing treatment, has been undergoing treatment for vertigo at NHC Scott. You have any idea what time
She may be coming home this weekend.
Okay.
Possibly Friday, maybe Saturday.
I know she wants to. Mike Hughes, we got word that he is probably, even as we're recording this, is being transferred from Vanderbilt to NHC Scott. So Mike is going to be back in Lawrenceburg. And so for those of you that would like to visit him and converse with him and talk with him, that's going to become a lot easier to do. Sammy Hughes has battled kidney issues for a long time, and her kidney function has continued to decline. And she is going to be undergoing dialysis as she looks toward, finding a kidney where she can undergo a kidney transplant. And I know they would appreciate our prayer. She would. Elizabeth Land's been battling the flu like a lot of people. There's a lot of sickness going around. Stuart Chandler, that's Jesse Parrish's dad, is now at STRHS Rehab Center for therapy. She said that he is looking a lot better. Laura Vargas, this is Jeremy's mother. She is actually going to be starting her treatments today. Is it just radiation or is it both?
Chemo and radiation.
Chemo and radiation is starting today, this afternoon. They had a little hang up. She's supposed to start Monday, but now they are progressing forward as planned. Barbara McCandless, this is the grandmother of Rachel Smith. Rachel recently married Matthew Smith. So her grandmother's recently taken to St. Thomas West due to a brain bleed, and she underwent 2 surgeries and is fortunately progressing well. Then, very quickly, we got a couple of sympathy notices here. Want to extend Christian love and sympathy to the family of Peggy Mashburn. Peggy was the sister of Pam Boston. Pam is the wife of Rocky Boston, who is the brother of Vicky Crouch. Peggy was also the great aunt of Lincoln Mashburn, and that funeral was held this past Monday. And then we also continue to extend our Christian love and sympathy to Jeff and Michelle Tucker on the death of Jeff's sister, Gail. Gail had been battling ovarian cancer, and she recently passed away. Arrangements are pending at this time. Jeremy, what do you got, man, on the front with our youth? I know y'all just got back from
We did.
UNC.
Just got back from Exposure Youth Camp, and that takes place in Huntsville, December 27th through the 30th every year, regardless of the days of the week that happens to be. Had a great time. We had 13 from Pulaski Street that were there, and so we missed being here this past Sunday. But it was good to be able to be where we were. Coming up, we will be having, in addition to the Lads to Leaders, if you're doing a song or a speech, having that practice at 4, we will be going to the Maury County area wide. That will take place at Spring Meadows this coming Sunday night. So that is going to be a conflict for some of you, but we will be heading up there, and we're meeting at 3:30 to head to Spring Meadows this coming Sunday night. Next Wednesday, January the 7th, we'll have a Good Works Wednesday. We look forward to that. And then Evangelism University is going to be on us before we know it. That is Martin Luther King weekend every year. We stay each year at the home of Buddy and Denise Rinks, who a lot of you know and love, and we certainly know and love, and they always take such good care of us and love us very, very adequately. We look forward to that time together. Those are some of the things that we've got coming up right away.
All right. All right. So we're gonna transition here a little bit, and again, we're mainly focusing on our church family here. We want to look back and we want to look forward. 2025 was certainly an interesting year. We've had, as I think, not just our church family, but pretty much everybody in this community knows, we've been uh, constructing a facility, a new facility, a building, and so I want Shane to just give us a little background on the motivations that was discussed among the elders to hey, this is an effort worth looking at and getting behind. And also kind of again looking ahead at how we think this building is going to bless not just our church family, but has the potential as we move forward to bless our community. So Shane, what do you got?
Well, interesting point. We talk about our activity center, and when we think about that, we have decided that and tasked the deacons to come up with a proper name for this facility moving forward. So, if anybody out there's got any good suggestions, something that you just say everybody in the church is going to agree with, bring them forward, and I'm sure the deacons would love some help with that. So that's important moving forward. And obviously, we want to say thank you to some people that have really worked hard this year. Uh, Probably won't get them all, but I'm going to name a few. Greg Romsdale has been up here probably every day this year working on this project. Mark Miller has been heavily involved. Kevin Foster, our chief chef, has helped us with selection equipment for the kitchen and processes behind that. Allison McCamey has aided the committee with some design and colors and some styling things that the men just should be a part of for the most part. But the 18, the deacons, all those that have been over and help clean up and hook up and set up, we're just really thankful for everybody that's been a part of that, as well as our contractors. They've worked hard. There's been some difficult circumstances. Doss Brothers and all the different subcontractors have done us a really good job this year. We're thankful for that. Kind of where we are, we've used the facility once on an exemption for Christmas morning. We cannot use it again officially until we do get our certificate of occupancy completed. And there are still a few things that you'll notice that are taking place outside of the punch list items and the touch ups and the things like that. We've still got a back entrance with some sidewalk work that's got to be uh, configured to match the new parking lot layout. There's an aluminum awning that will stretch from that island that's not complete over to the doors on the north end of the building so that we can drop off people and food in the rain and not get wet. And one big thing inside the building, if you've been in it at all, you'll notice it's loud. And we knew it was going to be a little noisy. So some panels have to be constructed and installed at some point to help control that. So continue to be patient, and we'll be in this thing using it like Jacob said very soon. To go to your question, what did the elders, what motivated the elders, what were the thoughts behind? I kind of got to go back a little ways. Kind of got to tell a story that's actually been going on for quite a while. Mm. Some of you may have heard me mention this before from the pulpit a time or two, but you have to go back. If memory serves me correctly, and I found the right date, you can go back into the year of 2007 to really understand how we got to where we are today. The elders at the time, and I believe I got this correctly, there were six of them: Bob Marcus, J. Fred Johnson, Mac Evans, Billy Helton, Leonard Kirk, and Howard Nutt. I believe were the group at the time. They made a decision to assemble a committee, a building committee, and task it with one particular topic. And when they did that, J. Fred headed it up. He put together a committee that included myself, Olin Springer, Jimbo Parks, and Phil Wilson. And at that time, Miss Jean Woodson did a lot of the input on the styles and colors and the things that we didn't have any business doing. But the question was, what can we do to keep our facilities and our properties viable for the next 50 years? So the committee got together and we said, well, what's our constraints? What have they, what are they thinking? What should we be thinking about? So we went back and asked that question, what's our constraints for this project? And they said, there are none. So we said, okay, that opens a lot of doors, brings a lot of questions up. And we went out and looked at everything we think you could think of in order to keep this corner or the future of the Pulaski Street Church in a good place for the next 50 years. And that included relocating, buying an existing property or buying some land and rebuilding. We looked at building a new auditorium over in the northeast part of our parking lot here. and then doing a demolition phase with the current structure. We looked at renovation, different things associated with that, and in the end, decided that staying here on Plasma Street, doing some renovations and some updates and just some general maintenance on the property we had would be the right move.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where we started. We looked at that time. We had this building, we had the fellowship building, and we had the old Parks House,
Yeah.
which was still standing and being used as an office. And once we got our plans together, the first phase, if all of you guys will remember, and I looked this morning, I had emails from January the 2nd of 2008. So that would be 18 years ago
Yeah.
this weekend, with our architect, where we said, okay, we're going to go ahead and sign a contract and start the first phase, which was to tear off the front of the old building, build the space that we have now out here. We call our lobby,
Which we're sitting in.
which we're sitting in and doing this video, and start the process to give the old building a facelift. Give it a place that would welcome the numbers as they came in and out. We even have showers and different things in this area from time to time, but something that also made the building look a little more modern and a little more in tune with the neighborhood. That project was started and followed shortly thereafter by our auto renovation.
Mm.
And that was, believe it or not, that's probably been around 12 years ago now. We did a complete replacement of all the pews. We changed carpet. If you'll remember, we had wood paneling on the walls. We sheetrocked that, and went through and painted throughout, and I really did a lot of updates there. We decided later to go and construct new offices on the north end of the current fellowship building, which is, I think, been a really good move for the administrative side of things moving forward. And then we obviously did a demolition project on the Parks House, and then we moved in our classroom settings, and we went top to bottom. Took out some carpet that had been here probably since the building was built,
Easily.
and a lot of other things that came with it, and did that. And at the end of the day, that kind of got us to where we thought we needed to be. We got all that done, and we're sitting here thinking, what else could be needed? The only thing that was coming up is what can we do to enhance your fellowship activities? And for several years, we thought about a type of pavilion or something on the Parks House lawn that would give us an opportunity to get together, maybe outside, enjoy time together, a place for families together, that kind of thing. And probably what influenced the decision from that point on more than anything was COVID. Once COVID hit, things just kind of obviously slowed down. We were not meeting here. People were not coming to facilities as much. We were doing online. And that we sat there for a few years. Just kind of had to gel and rethink and understand where we were heading. And then I guess a couple years ago, maybe a little more too now, I don't even know exactly when we started, but we started Feast.
Yeah. About
And
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
It's crazy to think it's been 3 years.
It's been going and going well. But that in of itself solidified our next decision. After we'd been participating in Feast for a year or so, we realized that it had some longevity to it. It was something that the congregation was happy with, and that we wanted to continue with. And we realized two things. Sometimes we don't have enough room to host everybody that wants to come to the event. And when we go in there, it's crowded.
If you hit 185, you hit a ceiling.
That's tops.
That's probably max capacity there.
And
It is crowded.
we've had more than that in there, but it was dangerous in certain ways, to be honest. Like
And there's
talked to-
inevitably a drop off after that because there are people that feel the uncomfortable factor.
Mhm.
And there's some for just general health and safety concerns. It's hard to be in there. The table and chair placement is tight,
Yeah.
trip easy. It's tough.
And that's
There
what
had
I
to be a
mean.
max
That's what I mean by
exodus.
dangerous. We're not
Yeah.
like, if you come to Feast, you're putting your life on the line. That's not what I'm saying.
But yeah, there had to be a mass exodus. It'd be tough navigating out of there safely. So
Plus, we didn't have an attic kitchen for those
yeah,
months.
our kitchen's
Chief Chef Kevin Foster,
it's work magic.
if you don't know, he's a long-term Cisco employee.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have the skills and the knowledge to be able to purchase the kind of food that you can prepare in one microwave in a conventional oven,
Yeah.
we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
And,
Or he prepares it at his house
or
and
He
then
does.
has to
He
bring
does
it
a lot
over.
of
You know,
home like-
is
Yeah, folks got to know the kind of sacrifice and service that Kevin and his team have done for 3 years now. And in large part, honoring that work means what can we do to make that easier for them?
Yeah.
You know?
right. So that led us back to the decision. It's not only time to do the next phase, which incorporates that space where families can come or the community can come or the church as a whole can gather, but certainly a place that accommodates feast and those type things. And then it became obvious to us what the type of facility that we needed. And we started with the, general, how do we do it? What do we do? Is there anything to pattern off of? And once we decided this is the facility, it's time to build it. Here we are. And it's been a busy year, a busy couple of years. If you take the planning side into place, the congregation stepped up, worked hard, contributed well. We've been able to get this thing funded and move forward. And we're sitting here now, January 1st, 2026. We're about to get the keys to this place and really get out there and get to enjoy it.
Well, let me ask this on the financial part. Is there any you need to make enough? Do we need to make another push? I know we wanted to reach a certain goal so that we knew and felt comfortable servicing the debt with our new budget for 2026.
Yeah.
What's
So the way
where
that's
we
all
at?
worked out in the end, moving forward, there's two things that the congregation needs to be very aware of. Number one, our budget, our weekly contribution budget. It's changed. It's going to be different than what it's been in the past. It incorporates all of the cost and the final commitments that we've got surrounding this facility. And if we stay on pace with that, we're going to be just fine.
Okay,
We're going to be okay.
that's good.
And the second thing is there are two things left. They're not major as far as being extremely expensive, but there are two things left that we want to do to this campus to get us to that 50-year mark, which, by the way, is nearly 20 years behind us. But one is that the back of the existing auditorium needs dressed up and needs a rear exit, and we're going to have to touch that at some point. We had plans of putting some classrooms back there, and due to the decision that we made, that's actually moving to the fellowship building, and that's the other thing that we'll need a little additional funding for. And both of those could take place as soon as we get money for them. But we're going to go into the fellowship building and build two large classrooms to accommodate a men's class or a ladies' class or teen class, whatever what needs to go in there for a bigger room, and leave roughly half of the existing space open that is on the end where the kitchen and bathrooms are. And the thought there is we're going to renovate, do some updating there, but we want to leave a small area and a kitchen that can be used if a family has a small birthday party, or there's a small wedding shower, some type of event that doesn't justify a facility that'll seat 400 plus people.
Yeah,
plus our sewing ladies.
Sewing ladies, that's
They
perfect
Yeah.
example.
yeah.
they're in there twice a month at least
Yep.
and doing great work.
Yeah, so those two things are, all that's left in our plans. We probably don't have any other space we could use in your time.
Not
So
really.
anyway,
Not without giving
we
it
have
part.
finished up. So
Yeah,
that's the plan and the goal moving forward and kind of where we land with all that.
that's awesome. All right, we're gonna kind of shift gears from this external facility building and looking internally. Obviously, Christianity is a taught religion. We these guys, and I would say the majority of our congregation are aware of Jesus's Great Commission, which of course is to make disciples. And that's going to include baptizing them initially, but that also includes teaching them to observe all that Jesus says, have commanded you. And so, something that is obviously endemic to this church family, not to mention other church families and churches, is the education program. And so, I want to give Tim just some time to kind of he might give us a little historical perspective on this, but to look at kind of where we're at right now as far as the education program goes, and then what we've got coming up in 2026 as we move into this new year, looking forward relative to the education program. So Tim, fire away.
Well, in my thoughts, I started at the Great Commission too,
You
because
did.
you teach and you convert, and then you keep teaching.
Mm.
And teaching has been foundational to the Lord's church throughout time. Um, and I thought of some of our charter members here, and some of the comments that I've heard from them, and I'm thinking Sister Hazel, Sister Sandra, Brother Alec. I'm sure I'm missing some, but and some that are no longer with us that have impressed upon the history of this church, uh, the preaching and the teaching. And so you go back and you think about the educational program. I think when Dawn and I arrived here in 1983, Brother Grady Duggar, he just worked hard. He was a good teacher in his own right, and he would occasionally ask, hand me something to ask, what do you think about that? And I knew he had some qualms about something in there. So, but always planning uh, and as we think about where we are now, we can see some ways we, have I think, improved things, but it still comes back to teaching men and women, boys and girls. And you can't be taught if you don't have teachers.
Mm.
And so teachers have been foundational in the educational program. And one of the places where we're on exposition is every year VBS. And that was something that Pulaski Street did well from the time I've had any dealings with them. And it's just gone up exponentially as time has gone on to where we are currently with that.
Yeah.
But I think of the early 90s and when Brother David Stoffel assumed the superintendentship to continue the legacy that Brother Douglas, he really began putting things together, both with the primary, elementary, teen, and adult, and really had some direction. You knew where you were going, knew who was teaching, and that was a critical time for this congregation in its history. But some important steps were made there. I was thinking, going further, your dad approached. We went from superintendents to more deacons serving in that role, and he was the first to challenge the deacons to come up with a more Bible-based curriculum than the cookie cutter curriculums that you could go to some of our brotherhood. Some of them are great, and some of them are kind of not so good. And we looked at some things. We didn't feel like we could handle some of those that required teachers being taught the semester, the quarter before they actually would teach that, and it spread us a little thin. Uh, and so that brings us to Billy Helton Sr., or the first, in a meeting that he had with some of us it was right after VBS of 2003, if I remember correctly. And he he wanted this thing to happen, and we then began to assimilate and and get a curriculum that was not cookie cutter, especially with our primary and elementary group, and even our junior high and high school. And so that that year was kind of where we did that. And again, my thanks to the dedication of the teachers, because no longer did you have a pre-cut, ready-made class. The teachers had to put the meat on the bones,
Mhm.
and
And
it's,
the bones were, I mean, we're talking tiny bones.
tiny bone.
Like, here it is, really, really succinct. You gotta,
And you couldn't wait 30 minutes, you know, on a Saturday night before to get it.
yeah.
You're talking hours, and we have had, we still have, and continue to have such dedicated teachers. And
We're talking school, like we're probably needing 80. Something like it's a pretty
it's
high
a high
number.
number.
In any given
make
year,
it-
it's close to that in any given year.
Yes, and one good thing as we've gone forward, Brother Jim Donnelly especially, and Mark helped him a little later, uh, giving teachers time off.
Yes,
Now,
And that's why that number is at 80.
and that
that's right.
right, but the fellow that had been on was apt to make a good horse tired. There are two or three folks that could stand that, but we needed to
They're
give
not
some
the-
folks a break, and I credit them for that. Uh, uh, Very impressed with now even another generation of deacons have stepped into the harness, and we've seen them refine some of those early works and templates, and kind of fine tune it a little bit. And so we're getting students, 4 and 5 year olds, go through the Bible in a year. Then we go through the Bible in another 3 years, and again, and try to get the Bible. Uh, all of us here enjoy reading good books. We enjoy reading good books about gospel writers, but there's no substitute for reading the Bible, not books about the Bible. And and that reflects in the lives of young children. And you can probably remember things in the classroom that you know that have stuck with you all these years. And Jeremy has been here with us for 19 years, and he kind of has seen this thing grow. And one thing that, as this has been changed, we found some room to rotate in some topics that are important to especially teens and our younger kids that address situations that they encounter.
Yeah.
And so we've been more flexible that way. And then I got to brag on all of you should know how fortunate we are to have such a planner as Jacob, and the way you have to visualize a study, and we had a good curriculum layout before COVID.
We did.
And,
It was a 4-year curriculum.
4 years, and and we thank you for all you did through COVID to try to keep us in the loop there remotely, but we just now are getting momentum back to where we're really taking off a big bite here, and
Mhm.
Jacob, and I know Brad Nielsen has really helped out, and and Jeremy has had input,
We
but
got some buy-in from Josh
Josh-
Taylor and Jason Jarrett,
yes,
and
listen, and
of course, we had you in there in our first planning session, but
there are a lot of moving parts when you go to planning out a curriculum for 8 years.
Yes.
And we went 5 quarters. I think that initial and to know who's where and to try to offer multiple classes and different classes for age and really we say 8 years, but if you wanted to avail yourself to every class available, it'll take you 16 years because
Yeah.
there are double classes. So
Mhm.
there's a lot to be had and a lot of people that sacrifice to make it so, and that's for all our benefits, and so we have a lot to thank the Lord for.
Absolutely. Um, Obviously with our church family, it's made up of families. And one of the things, and I don't think it's necessarily a secret to most folks here, but Jeremy has continued to work with our youth, obviously, and will continue to do so. But and in a way, he'll explain some of this to you, but also looking to have opportunities for families as a whole to get together, to be, to enrich their lives spiritually. And so we're going to give Jeremy a little bit of an opportunity here just to kind of discuss the trajectory of some of that. Along taking into account some of the things going on with the youth that the church family needs to be aware of. So, Jeremy,
Sure. You may not all be aware of this, but you have already, for well over a decade, been a part, if you've been involved in the youth ministry at Pulaski Street. PSYG has been functioning as a family ministry for well over a decade because I do believe that that is the biblical model. You have families that are the primary source of spiritual growth, encouragement, teaching, and edification. And what we are able to do here is just going to help um, serve as an additional boost. It is going to be a supplement. And so that's the way that we have been approaching things. And from having monthly activities that various families are in charge of, and having at least 6 to 8 different homes within a year that our teenagers are going to go into to be able to interact with those adults. Um, there are all kinds of studies out there that show that in order for a young person to develop a faith that will remain intact and that as they leave the home, they're going to be able to remain faithful, they've got to have spiritual mentors that they trust, that they look up to, and that they feel comfortable talking to in the event that they have a crisis on their hands, whether that is a life crisis or a spiritual crisis. And so that is the driving force behind the reason for us doing things in that way. In 2026 will be no different. We will have our especially our teenagers being able to get into the homes of over half a dozen different families and adults to be able to at times hear devotionals from those parents, and even if they don't hear devotional from them, to get to sit by them and talk while they're having a meal or playing a game or do whatever, and you build that relationship. I am not um, too prideful to realize. I'm not prideful enough to think that every one of the teenagers that comes to Pulaski Street is going to like me more and get along with me more than every other adult that we have here. That's just not the reality. And so we need to be able to continually expose our teenagers to some of those other faithful, trustworthy adults that they can have as mentors in their life. And so, really, what we've done is we have tried to become just a little bit more intentional with making everyone aware that that is, in fact, the direction that we are wanting to go within our youth ministry, and then growing from that as well. So we will be continuing to have some intentional family ministry activities. We'll be trying to do one larger one of those each quarter. The easy one for the first quarter of the year every year is our family retreat. Again, and you've probably noticed, and I've had people ask, well, why don't we have high school retreats or guys retreats and girls retreats and all those kinds of things? I was like, well, we do a family retreat and we do it. And that's the focus for the way that we've gone about that. And then we turn a lot of our youth rallies and different trips that we go on into kind of quasi retreats, and we'll have our own lessons and our own things that we'll do just with our group on a lot of those trips that we go on to kind of fulfill that desire that some would have for additional retreats. But so our family retreat, it'll be coming up February the 27th through March the 1st down at Camp Maywood in Hamilton, Alabama. Please come. We can't make a family ministry more successful without buy-in and participation from all of you. As we go on throughout the year, there will be additional activities. I am very thankful for this new facility that we're going to have to be able to utilize some game opportunities for a lot of families to get together and be able to do stuff. But again, when we have those family ministry activities, one of the things that maybe was a struggle as we were trying to initiate in 2025 that becoming more aware for everyone is that there were times when parents would come to those family ministry activities and they would just drop their kids off. That is not the goal. That is not the intention. When we have these family ministry activities, please come, all of you. And that means if you have a kid that is 2 or if you have a kid that is 18, we want you there and we want the parents to stay. We want this to be something that we can work and go through together. Um, Also with the books that were given out this year, and if you have not gotten one of those yet, they're still sitting on a table right over there, and we're trying to keep up with who's gotten one so that we can make sure that we've got enough. But it's the best family devotional book that you can buy that I've seen with my two eyes, and I've looked at a bunch of them. But developing true character and Apologetics Press put that together, looking at different Bible characters and drawing things out that can help us. And you can go through that as a family in a matter of 3 or 4 minutes, or you can spend 30 or 40 minutes on that. And it's really good. Another thing that in 2026 we will be starting with family ministry in mind, and this is geared primarily towards some of those younger ones. But if you're a teenager and you're hearing this and you're like, I'm interested in that, well, go right ahead. Every week, Jacob puts together a worship bulletin that typically will have who all's doing all the stuff with the service on one side, and on the back it will have, or if you call that the front, on the other side, it'll have an outline of his lesson. And sometimes it is more detailed than others. Sometimes you just got, the lines where you can take notes, but that's going to be provided. Each Sunday, I'm also going to be putting together a children's or a youth worship outline. And so it will be much looser. It will have just some, low hanging fruit type things that they can color on there, or that they can circle different words when they hear them in the lesson, just to try to keep them engaged. One of the things that we do need to be continuing to, and I'm talking to myself here as well, continuing to encourage our children to do is to mature and to grow and to learn the importance of worship and just how incredible an opportunity we have to go to the presence of God and offer him the praise that we have, and to be able to listen to what his word has to say to change and to shape our lives. So we're going to be putting those together for those children to participate in. If they complete those, then what they're going to be able to do is there's some of those little Bible trading cards that a lot of our kids have been pretty pumped about. And we've got a lot of them in my office right now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to be opening those up. And I will on Sundays be going through before worship to hand, 15 or 20 to our elders so that they've got those cards with them. If your child completes one of those worship outlines, the youth worship outlines, they can take that, show it to an elder. They get some good, positive quality FaceTime. It may just be 3 or 4 seconds, but they get to see one of our shepherds, one of the people that are actually charged with caring for their souls, and smile and feel comfortable and know that they gave them something and they have a positive interaction with that. And I'm confident that this is going to help build continued positive relationships between our youngest and our elders and the ones that are overseeing our souls. So that'll be something that we'll be beginning in 2026 and look forward to that. And so that'll be coming up for the first time this coming Sunday morning. And so there's a lot of good stuff, but most of this is just trying to look at youth ministry the way Scripture does. And I think that my favorite example of that is what you find with Timothy and how Lois and Eunice had this faith first and it was passed down in a family way. Of course, you can go to Deuteronomy 6 and you can think about that, but we see again, this is families where they work together and they help raise one another. And I need your help raising my kids just like I want to help you raise yours.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank all of you. I thought maybe just to wrap this up, um, just just as a free for all to think back on 2025 and looking ahead to 2026, and do a little reminiscing and a little projecting. What is it? You know, what were some of your highlights in 2025? What are some of the things perhaps you're most excited about in 2026? I mean, for me, Jeremy used the low hanging fruit. I personally am excited to kick off the new theme for the new year. It's been interesting. I mean, this is something we've been doing since 2016. So we're entering what, the 11th year of doing this, and I'm amazed by how many people are in tune with that and they look forward to the new theme and then just developing that through the year. I try to preach on it once a month. Sometimes we might double up in a given month towards the end, but we will reveal the new theme this Sunday, January the 4th, and I'm excited about that. But yeah, so we're kind of closing out here. Do you got anything that resonated with you this past year, or excites you for the new year?
I'll say I enjoyed this past year's change for our fourth Sunday evening. And I look forward to that in 2026 as we continue to fortify the family theme and think about ways uh, to to keep our faith involved as a family and do some of these studies and things. And we're going to use this fourth Sunday this year to continue that, whether it be um, youth-led services that we're going to see quite a bit of this year, maybe some homegrown uh, speakers from
Yep.
time to time. And then we've got Lonnie coming back in the fall. We've also got Kyle Butt coming a couple of times in the first half of the year.
We do.
So I'm excited about that. And of course, we talked about our new curriculum. And I've got to throw out that this Sunday in the fellowship building, we have a spiritual leadership class starting for men. And Mark Miller and I will be heading that up with mention a guest speaker from time to time, a guest teacher, I guess I should say, uh, someone that kind of exhibits and exemplifies the topic of the week, maybe. But if you're at any stage in life as a man and you're thinking about leadership in the home, leadership at work, leadership in the church, and you're not sure if the past where you need to be, our goal this quarter is to kind of clear up those paths and make them a little more obvious to you. If you're sitting there saying, I've got a good handle on that, well, we need you in there too to help teach some of us that need some extra help where to go. So,
And it's important that you understand it's not just a class for potential deacons or elders.
That's right.
It's broader than that. We certainly need men to take leadership in the home seriously and in various areas of their life. So I am appreciative of the broader view that this particular class has taken. It is a class that'll be offered every other year in our curriculum, so it'll keep coming back around pretty regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody's welcome. All you being out there listening, come see us Sunday at the fellowship.
I was really encouraged this last quarter. Throughout the year, we occasionally assemble some men to teach in the auditorium. Um, for the first time, I think I had leftovers. I had folks willing that, and I had some that said, not this quarter, but I want to. Uh, we didn't have to have a lot of replicating of people, and had a couple that was their first time, and that's neat, and that's encouraging. Um, and one thing I want to say to all of us as parents, as grandparents, we can talk about how good an offering we have. We can talk about how dedicated, and not only in terms of willingness, but even quality of our teachers. But if you're not here, you don't benefit from that. And you, as a parent or grandparent, uh, strike the best example when you yourself come to Sunday school and you yourself at home demonstrate an interest in God's Word. And these teachers prepare, do your dead level best to get yourself here and get your youngsters in your care here, and avail themselves to some of these great possibilities that we try to offer to you.
Personally, 2025 was a difficult year, primarily because of some of the health things going on with mom and dad. And love y'all. But those things are going to continue. And but at the same time, it's been hopeful for me. And a lot of you have heard me repeat this thing that I've heard my dad say over and over again. You don't get to choose what you get. You just take the next step forward. You keep going. And being able to see that example from them has continued to help grow my faith. But there were so many highlights and great things in 2025 as well. The thing that came to my mind first as the youth and family guy was Aubrey and Ben and Duke and Lincoln this year obeying the gospel. I'm excited for, I've got a couple of different Bible studies already set up with some of our kids that we're going to be getting to begin soon. And I'm looking forward to those kinds of things. But the spiritual growth that I've been able to witness in the lives of some of our kids has certainly been the highlight. And you may not be aware of this because you see our youth group kids on a regular basis, and not kids from other places. I'm not trying to talk bad about anywhere else. What I am trying to do is brag on the PSYG kids that we've got here. They are the best of the best. They are incredible. And so if you see them and you're like, well, they should be more mature, they're teenagers. Their brains are developing. Give them grace, give them patience, and help them learn in a kind way, because they really are incredible kids that care about others and want to serve the Lord. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do in 2026.
All right, that's excellent. I think I hope that if you're tuning in and taking advantage of this today, that you see that the leadership as a whole, from your elders to the deacons to the ministers, do love you. They love this church family. We want every last one of you, uh, including ourselves, to spend an eternity with God forever. And we're not perfect. We all have some missteps and some mistakes and failures along the way. But we ask you to forbear with us as we forbear with you going forward. There's a lot we can plan for in 2026, but if 2025 taught us anything, there's a lot you can't plan for. Just, you know, things happen, sometimes terrible things, sometimes wonderful things. And most years are made up of, they're bittersweet, as it were. But we do, as a whole, I know I speak for all of us, we wish you guys a happy new year. We hope you'll take advantage of some of the gatherings this evening if you're at all able to do so. And we look forward to worshiping with you the first Sunday of 2026. Thanks for tuning in.